united to talk about a very trending topic, the crisis in Australia. We're going to be talking and seeing it from 4 different perspectives: political or legal, social and cultural, economic, and environmental. To talk about this, we have the company of our 4 experts in the field: Ricardo Rivero, Raimundo Ramirez, me, Paulina Vaca, and Alejandra Maldonado. First, we're going to see a video for a better understanding of the topic.
Australia is on fire, and it's bigger than you think. 12.35 million acres of land have been burnt by bushfires so far. That's almost twice the size of Belgium, and 3 times more land than the 2018 California fires and Brazil's 2019 Amazon fire combined. Flames have reportedly reached 70 meters high. That's taller than the Sydney Opera House. At least 19 people have been killed and more than 1,400 homes have been destroyed. Residents and tourists have been forced to relocate.
Just get out while we can.
Nearly 500 million animals have died in New South Wales alone. The fires aren't just in one location, they're raging everywhere across the country. So what ignited this deadly crisis? Well, bushfire season is nothing new in Australia, but this summer has been one of the hottest and driest in the country's history. Since September, the combination of drought, unprecedented heat waves, and strong gusty winds has created a recipe for disastrous fire conditions. On top of that, the smoke from bushfires generates its own weather, sparking thunderstorms with lightning and strong winds, which create even more wildfires. Scientists have been predicting such extreme weather for years, warning that bushfires will become even more frequent as climate change worsens. Although the weather has cooled slightly in parts of Australia, authorities say with months of summer left, the worst is yet to come.
So with this video, you can see the importance of the topic and the consequences it may have. First, we're going to hear the economic perspective.
Good afternoon, my name is Ricardo Rivero and I have come to talk to you a little bit about the situation that Australia is experiencing, and I'm going to illustrate a little of how it's going to affect the economy or how the economy is going to help in this situation. I'm going to talk about the question I asked so that you can be more informed. How much money will be used for the rebuilding for the country? In recent months, Australia has been through terrible things, so it needs our support so that together we can get out of this problem, since it affects everyone, because the area that caught fire is a fifth part that was destroyed thanks to all the pollution that exists in the world. Australia will allocate $2 billion for the recovery of areas affected by forest fires, where Allied Ring gave a truce today to assess the damage after a catastrophic weekend. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said the money will be managed over the next 2 years by a new agency dedicated to helping rebuild houses and infrastructure damaged by fires burning in the country since September. The move allows the deployment of 3,000 reservists and a repertoire of $20 million to reinforce seaplanes and other air assets that the Prime Minister announced on Saturday at the end of one of the worst days in this wave of fires. Meanwhile, the authorities were counting the damage, taking advantage of the respite provided by the rain after a difficult weekend with temperatures nearing 50 degrees. And before the situation becomes complicated again at the end of the weekend with the thermostator about the 14 degrees. The catastrophic fire was not anything because much of Australia was more gorgeous, since it had a great impact on the economy. That is why the Prime Minister asked that enough money can be raised to be able to return to normal, since it had a great impact, but it can fix over time. With that, we finish the part of the economy. I hope you have left them with a little more information. I leave you with my colleague who will inform you more about what happened with this topic. See you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo. Now we're going to hear the social and cultural perspective.
Hello, my name is Alejandra Maldonado, and I'm going to talk about the social and cultural perspective about the topic. I'm going to explain how this crisis is affecting Australia's citizens and their culture. Australia is facing an unprecedented national crisis, as the bushfires tear to rural communities across the nation. As a result of this crisis, at least 33 people have been killed, including 4 firefighters, and more than 11 million hectares of bush, forest, and parks across Australia has burned. Some regions of the country recorded air quality measurements 20 times above the hazardous level. In the worst hit state, the New South Wales, fire has affected more than 5 million hectares, destroying more than 2,000 houses and forcing thousands to seek shelter elsewhere. Many people were evacuated, so imagine the frustration and the feeling of the Australian citizens of seeing their country, their houses, their parks, their monuments, buildings being destroyed by the fire. In the other side, on how it is affecting their culture, the country is known for its unique mix of animal species, fauna and flora, and there are fears it may never recover. An estimated of 25,000 koalas were killed only on the Kangaroo Island. People's lives are changing. Because of this, they have to change their routine and will have to adapt to all these new circumstances and their losses. They all will need to unite and work for saving and protecting what remains, and for the culture not to be lost. Thank you.
Thank you, Ale. Now we go with Raimundo to hear about the political or legal perspective.
Hi, my name is Ray, and I'm going to talk about what is the Australian government doing about the climate change. Also, I'm going to talk about government's climate policies. Each state is managing its own emergency operation. New South Wales is officially in a state of emergency. Prime Minister Scott Morrison later promised more funding for firefighters and pay for volunteer firefighters. Australia also announced the dispatch of 300 soldiers to fight the flames. However, Morrison has been harshly criticized by Australians who accuse of not having responded appropriately to the crisis. Also, Australia has been challenged by its opponent for not doing enough to combat climate change. The country is one of the largest emitters of greenhouse gases per capita in the world. According to international agreements, it is a conditional to achieving reduction targets. According to the Brazilian government agency INPE, the area of Amazon rainforest burned from the January to November 2019 was 70,698 square kilometers, equivalent to 7,069,800 hectares. A central climate plan is the Emission Reduction Fund, Easily Earth. The government put forward an additional 2 billion Australian dollars, spread over 15 years, to help business and farmers reduce emissions, bring up total investment to $4.5 billion. The government say it will deliver 100 million tons of emission reduction. Out aspect of the earth have been priced. Australia has adopted a piecemeal approach to emission reduction, say the OECD, an economic body which monitors research industrialization. In a 2019 report, the government need to show how existing instruments such the Earth can be scaled to reach Paris Agreement goals. That's all to my part, and my partner will be continue talking about it.
Thank you, Raimundo. And our last perspective is environmental. The bushfires in Australia have had a lot of environmental impacts. The principal effect is the immediate loss of biodiversity because many species are endemic of the continent. Many animals call Australia their only home, like kangaroos and koalas. Since bushfires have always been part of Australia's landscape, several animals have developed coping mechanisms. But since the severity of this bushfire season, a lot of these coping mechanisms are not working. An estimated 1 billion animals have been killed, but this number does not include frogs, invertebrates, or bats. Scientists say that the fires have pushed at least 20 threatened species closer to extinction, like koalas that lost around 30 to 40% of their population. Now, the lucky animals that did survive are facing a new reality. Their food sources have gone up in smoke as fire eradicated a lot of the vegetation. The government actually airdropped thousands of carrots and sweet potatoes to feed the animals that couldn't find food. Another effect is that the smoke from the fires is making its way around the planet, injecting aerosols in the upper atmosphere, increasing carbon dioxide emissions. Measurements of the ultraviolet aerosol index by NASA satellites show aerosol values at some of the highest levels ever recorded. Also, New Zealand glaciers were already melting because of the extreme temperatures, but now with the ash of smoke of the fires, the glaciers could increase the melting season by 20 to 30%. Now that we talked about the effects, we're going to talk about the causes. As Australia's unprecedented bushfires continues to unfold, several arguments have been made about the principal causes of this tragedy, especially around the role of climate change and global warming. Several experts have acknowledged that climate change has had a very important influence on these fires, but that doesn't change the fact that there have always been bushfires in Australia. Now, the question is whether climate change, human climate change, is being a part of the reason of these fires. The reason why these bushfires have been so devastating is because extreme heat and dryness are very important influencers on fire, and on both measures, 2019 was a very bad year for Australia. Australia experienced its hottest year in 2019 with 1.52 degrees Celsius above average, and it was also the driest year with a rainfall 40% lower than average. All of this is caused by the rising levels of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. This causes the Earth's radiation balance to change, not allowing heat to escape the atmosphere. So to answer the question, yes, human-caused climate change has resulted in more dangerous weather conditions for bushfires in recent decades, not only in Australia but worldwide. And studies show that these conditions are only going to keep getting worse if we don't take action.
So, in conclusion, this is a very important topic and something that we need to observe and analyze to understand how we are affecting our planet. We have to understand that all of this is connected to climate change. That maybe now it is just happening in Australia, but it can happen in your country or in my country. If we don't do something now, it may be the start of something that we may not control in the future. Something that can cause a huge impact in the world. The extinction of animals, the plants, cultures, and many other facts. Please be empathetic and try to help in everything you can. There are lots of ways that you can help, starting from saving the planet, not polluting, or donating food and money for all the people who is living this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for being interested in this kind of topic, because it's something that affects all of us. Stay tuned for other panel of experts. See you.